Yeah, so like I was saying, it's been a good part of the season thus far, and I feel like we've seen a good sample size of games that we could kind of like start creating narratives a little bit. And the first narrative narrative is yo, I ain't gonna lie, the Pistons kind of competitive, bro. I ain't gonna lie to you,
Yeah,
man.
no
I
doubt
was
about that.
I was looking at some numbers and watching some stuff. I'm a K believer. I really believe in K. 23 points a game, 8 assists per game, true rebound 7.3, 37% from 3. Um Basically, I feel like what it comes down to, I like Bickerstaff as a coach. I like him. You bring in some grown-ups, Tobias Harris, Malik Beasley, Tim Hardaway Jr. I understand these are not the most coveted players in the NBA, but they've all three played in very meaningful basketball games.
Yeah.
Beasley 15.4, Harris 13.5, THJ 11.7. Those are real numbers on a very, very young basketball team. And they 7-9. Uh, in order last year they won 7 games. I don't know how long it took them. I think half the season, maybe, because they only won 14 games last season.
Mhm.
And now you got them winning games against like the Miami Heat in clutch time, taking the Milwaukee Bucks to overtime and losing that game due to, I'm pretty sure, lack of experience. But just to see them competitive is definitely that's a bright side. And if you're a Pistons fan, you got to be happy at what the future could look like, because in your young players, you get around veterans, you can start having realistic locker room conversations about how you need to take it on and off the court, like as far as like the business of the game and the business of playing basketball on the actual court. I feel like there's stories in the game that these veterans could give to like Kay Cunningham, Jaden Ivey,
Mhm.
Ron Holland, Jalen Duren. I feel like it's valuable information, and I think it's dope that they surrounded those young guys with veterans.
Yeah, I think this team is really like a team of like kind of second chances because we know the whole narrative around Cade Cunningham. We talked about like, man, is he a bust? What's he gonna do? He's kind of changing the narrative around his name now. You can just go down the line. Even you go to Tobias Harris. We saw in Philly, he was kind of the scapegoat for the contract he had compared to the production he was giving them. Like everybody in Philly wanted him out of there, so now he's getting another shot. And I mean, he's not putting up all-star numbers like he did with LA Clippers, but he's still kind of going to a team that was considered like NBA purgatory and kind of lifting them up, helping lift them up out of that. So you go to Tim Hardaway. Obviously, this past season with the Mavericks, especially in the playoffs, they kind of viewed him as like almost like a scapegoat, or like people question like, where is Tim Hardaway at? Why isn't he playing? And some people then once he played, they're like, oh, I see why he don't play. It's kind of like he can't win for losing. He's like he was kind of just getting blamed for whatever. And so we saw how he exited, and now he's over there, and he's again sent to potential NBA purgatory, but they kind of building that team back up out the mud. So I mean, Isaiah Stewart, solid defender. Ron Holland, I think is going to be a good player in the league. I like this team a lot. Like Jaden Ivey, another good young player, but I think it's all about Cade Cunningham. We've seen the triple doubles and just efficiency from him. He's a capable defender. He's a bigger point guard, so he should definitely have the advantage against anybody he's up against. And he's showing that like, hey, it might have taken me a couple years to kind of get my footing in the league, but now I'm here, and he's in the runners to be like an all-star game starter to me. Like he's really looking good. Got Detroit almost at 500, and it's like you said, all last season they won 14, so you already halfway there. So I like what I'm seeing from them. Good coaching and just kind of guys just coming together and saying, "Yo, let's figure this out. We might not be the number one seed, but we can fight, scratch and claw, and kind of prove what we are." So I like what I'm seeing from them for sure.
Yeah, 7-9, they sit 7 in the West. I can understand you can kind of catch teams out guard early because they don't know how competitive you will be. I feel like they could come. I don't want to say come down to earth because they still not 500, but at the same time,
Mhm.
teams could kind of just get them out the way for real. So we'll see how competitive they could be. Um, if I told you Philly would be like 2-11, like 3 months ago, what would you tell me?
I would say Embiid's not playing. That's exactly what I would say. I would say it's some type of injury because I think that's the only way it can happen. And obviously, we see that's kind of how it's going for them right now, unfortunately.
Yeah, 3 games played. The fourth game tonight against the Grizzlies. 30 minutes per game, 14 points per game, 6 rebounds, 12 field goals on a career low 32%, 4 3-point attempts, a super career low 15% from three, and 2-point attempts at 8 and a career low 41% from the field.
Mhm.
It's 3 games. I'm not gonna go crazy, but at the same time, I feel like I'm gonna try not to be extra, but I feel like we kind of got to panic a little bit, even though it is still early. But the problem with that is you don't want to keep telling yourself it's still early because you'll look up and we'll be at the All-Star break.
Yeah.
Like they kind of got to start rattling off wins. I think if you're a Philly fan, you probably got to say like, well, Tyrese Maxey not healthy. I want to see what it looks like when he comes back. Actually, I'm pretty sure they're all playing tonight, if I'm not mistaken. Paul George isn't playing the best. The best player on this team is the rookie Jared McCain. 15 points per game, 2 assists, 2 rebounds,
Mm-hmm.
2-point attempts at 6 off 53% from the field, 3-point attempts, 5 attempts, 40% from the field, 21 minutes per game. He kind of running away with Rookie of the Year award, if in my personal opinion. I feel like he's definitely been a standout. What you got for me?
I think Dalton Connect might have something to say about that.
Yo,
I
listen,
don't know,
bro.
man.
I'm not gonna lie to you, bro. That's an NBA player.
Oh yeah, for sure.
46% from 3 off like 6. That's like 6 attempts is like a real number, especially for a player that like didn't he hit like 9 threes the other game?
Hit 9 last night, 37 points. Yeah.
Oh, bro, I ain't gonna hold you.
That's like when you said running away with it, I'm like, I can't say that.
The,
He's right there.
yeah, and he's on a way better team, functional team. But I'm pretty sure we'll talk about them. Maybe we'll talk about them. But as far as Philly goes, they had one of my favorite off seasons.
Yeah.
I really thought they were like top 2 to 3 in the East, and as of now, we're not seeing it. And they got guys, pretty much all of the big 3 on except for Paul George. Everybody got extensions. Paul George got a new deal. Like they getting paid. Like this is a nice size payroll. You know,
Yeah.
so Kyle Lowry have a look good. Caleb Martin kind of spotty. DeAndre Drummond not so good. I don't know. I don't know, bro. As of right now, if they had to play like Cleveland or Boston, like in like a 1/8 seed, I'm pretty sure it's looking like a sweep. And I feel like this season will ride and die on the shoulders of Joel Embiid. You know, so what's your take on that?
Yeah, I mean, once we saw the roster, obviously they need time to play together because it's kind of a newer roster. But I think we even said going into it, like health is going to be the key for this team, and so unfortunately, it can't almost get any worse than what it's been. Like Embiid didn't start the season, Paul George didn't start the season, then Maxey gets hurt a couple games into the season, so we ain't really been able to see all 3 of them play together. Like you said, the bright spot has been Jared McCain. He's been consistent. He's a rookie, so that's one bright spot they got, but it's kind of like worst nightmare is happening right before our eyes, just these injuries. So, and the worst thing you can do is kind of put yourself in a position to where, like you said, you becoming a potential 8 seed and you having to go against one of the top dogs in the first round. That's what you don't want. You want to try and secure a top 4 seed. So you got a home playoff series and you can kind of not coast, but at least have a higher chance of getting through at least that first round.
Right.
But now they kind of setting themselves up like you so far down the hole right now. You got to dig yourself up out the hole just to get back into playoff contention. And then once you get to that point, you're trying to get back into a top 4 or 5 seed. So yeah, they got a long way to go. Embiid has not looked great so far. I mean, like you said, it's only 3 games, so I'm not gonna put too much on it. We know who Joel Embiid is and what he can do. But very disappointing. Yeah, high payroll, all-star caliber players, and it's just kind of not coming together right now. I think they'll kind of right the ship. I think they'll end up being like maybe like right at the top of the plan, like a 6-7 area. But man, they gotta get it together because I mean it can be like quicksand and like we can blink, we'll be in halfway through December and you might be even further down and then it's really looking bleak for you. So yeah, I think they turn it around, but definitely a disappointing start and not what we wanted, but kind of what we expected of injuries, which seem to plague these players, ended up getting to them. So unfortunate.
Did you hear the report that came out after
Oh,
the
with Maxey calling out Embiid
Yeah,
for not being
yeah,
on time. Yeah, and
yeah,
I actually like that. I like that a lot,
yeah.
especially Maxey, because I mean, if it's not Embiid, Maxey's gonna be the go-to guy for this team. He's the young guy. He just got paid, so I like him kind of stepping up and voicing and letting his voice be heard. Like, yo, yeah, you the big dog, you the superstar, you the MVP, but you showing up late to everything we do. Like, what's up with that? So I actually like that. I don't know how Embiid feels about it or how the rest of the team might feel about it, but I actually respect him doing that and kind of realizing like, yo, we in this hole right now. The last thing we need is our best player to not be on time. I don't like egos to the side and all that. Like let's show up and let's work. So I like that a lot that he did that.
I kind of want to piggyback off something you said. As far as like the previous team with the Pistons, you was like you used the word scapegoat. I feel like Joel Embiid has always had that excuse like in his corner, like as far as like having a scapegoat. In the beginning, it was like, well, it's the process. He didn't play. They were tanking initial or intentionally, and then Ben Simmons didn't pan out. Me being a Ben Simmons fan, I had to take a lot of heat for that. I ain't gonna hold you. He had that, and then you brought up the Tobias Harris thing, and it was I heard today. I think it was like Brian Windhorst on the Hoop Collector. They were saying that previously, like Jimmy Butler will hold him accountable, and that was kind of cool and stuff like that. But like now, you don't really have any scapegoats because now you like in the middle of your prime. You just won MVP year before last, so it's like this team live and dies with you. So now there are no more scapegoats. You can't have anything uh, come like that to save you this time around. I don't really know what I want to do with him at this point. I don't think he should have played in the Olympics.
No, he
I
shouldn't.
don't. Yeah, I don't really know what help that did for you. I guess you just play to play because it's every 4 years. Um, I ain't gonna lie. I don't really know what to say, bro. Because you know what I'm saying. Like, you ever just been at a loss for words for? I'm kind of like trying to find something. I don't really know because if Paul George and Tyrese Maxey just say they playing well, like decent. Tyrese Maxey all-star caliber, Paul George like an all-star snub, or not snub, but just not good enough to make the cut on some like 22, 23 points per game type stuff.
Yeah.
If Joel Embiid isn't healthy, isn't playing well, I feel like this team is definitely capped at me giving them a lot of grace. I'm gonna say a first round exit. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like the high end of this team is like Eastern Conference finals appearance, like against like the Celtics or like the Cavaliers. I don't I don't really know what I want to say with this dude because I don't know how better this is gonna get going until mid-30s.
And that's why it's so unfortunate because we might not even get to see like this team on the high end, like what they're like. We might not see them reach their potential because we can't even get them on the court like for a consistent amount of time. Like obviously, when you put in like these three have never played together, so you want to see them at least get let's see like a 15, 20 game sample size, but we might not even get that because they just can't stay healthy. So we can't even really get like as a fan, we don't even get to see like that moment or that collective play together, and it kind of sucks because like you know what the potential could be with three all-star caliber guys and like having a big three, but it's just kind of like we've seen this story time and time again. We saw with the Nets with KD, Kyrie, and James Harden. We saw with kind of KD, Book, and Bill. Like it seems like we get these teams and we so excited to see them play together, and then they just don't pan out because they hardly even share the floor together. So this might be another one of those situations, unfortunately.
They're not playing back to backs either. Him and George, right? They said that.
I know Joel said he may not play like for the rest of his career. I didn't see if Paul George said he's not like he's for sure not going to play back to backs. But yeah, it's just another caveat right there. It's like, what are we talking about? It's crazy.
Well, I guess we gotta move on from that. Let me ask you this: you a Boston Celtic fan? I feel like the Cavaliers showed you their best team by record, but y'all showed that y'all best team by I don't know what's the word I'm looking for, but just by I guess nature.
Yeah.
Um, do you view them as a real threat? Because I ain't gonna lie to you, I'm bought in. I think I bought on them a few games ago. I bought my Cleveland Cavaliers stock.
I think no, I definitely think they're I think they kind of heard the talk of like a lot of people talking about the top teams in the East being like the Celtics, the Knicks, the Sixers, the Bucks, and they kind of felt like they were snubbed in a sense. So I think they came out hot. I do think obviously they're not going to keep that pace up, but I do think they'll end up being one of the tougher outs in the East. I don't think they're the best team in the East. I don't think their record is indicative of where they're going to finish at. But I can see them getting like that 3-4 seed. I think they're going to cool down a little bit. I still think once like all the teams are kind of settled in, I still don't know about the backcourt. Garland struggled a lot last night. He was very off. So but I like that team, but as far as like championship contention, I don't know. Like they got obviously he's playing well, Jared Allen. You got some guys over there, but it's just something it's hard for me to say I'm in on this team. I like the start they had. I don't know, man. It's something that's not there for me quite yet to make that's kind of make me hesitant on really saying, yeah, they the truth. They might get it done.
I think I got sold from the defensive end of the floor because I was texting you yesterday. I was just messing around, but you said like normally we'll get big leads on the Cavaliers, but we'll trick it off at the end of the day. And I was watching.
Yeah,
I'm gonna be honest with you. I feel like every team or every great team got maybe like a signature move. If we can equate that to basketball, like wrestling, I ain't gonna lie. Y'all 3-point shooting is like the Stone Cold
yeah,
Stunner, like the Tombstone or something. It's like it's a barrage. If you make 22 or 41 at 53% from three, it's a great chance that you're not losing that game. And y'all, we saw that last night. Like Tatum, like as for now, whatever jump shot woes he had are clearly like behind him at this point.
yeah,
Derek White is like an all-star caliber player in my mind. I'm biased when it comes to Drew. Jaylen Brown, Al Horford. I don't know if he's 29 or 40. Like, you know what I'm saying? At times, like defensively, he's just a dog. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like when y'all shoot, and Porzingis not even there. You know what
yeah,
I'm saying? And it's like that. I feel like that's kind of unfair. It's like an embarrassment of riches for real. And from like the defensive side of things, it's like y'all have four legitimate perimeter defenders that y'all can make uncomfortable for any good all-star caliber guard in this league. Donovan Mitchell is just special. So
yeah.
his second half performance is just an indication, oh, he's an all-star. Darius Garland, on the other hand, I don't know. I don't think he's as special as Donovan Mitchell. He's a small guard, and you saw they made it very uncomfortable. I think I was talking with some dudes in like the comment section of some video. I can't remember which one it was, but they were just talking about the Garland Mitchell pairing. I was just letting them know like, yo, the proof is in the pudding with the Celtics backcourt or with their wings in defense, because we saw how uncomfortable they just made Kyrie Irving look a few months ago. So it's
Mhm.
like if you're a small guard against them, they have the perfect antidote for what a great guard could be. Like now I'm kind of questioning like if y'all were to play like the Knicks in the playoffs, how much success would Jalen Brunson have? Because I feel like they'll just see blood when they see a small guard at this
It's gonna be
point.
long nights for him.
I'm
Long
saying
night.
it's gonna be a long night. But speaking to the Cavaliers though, like the defensive side of things, like I like how they could play Mobley and Jared Allen on the court by themselves, singular as the lone center, and be great defensively. I know they was missing Isaac Okoro last night, and I know that Darius Garland shot the ball horribly. If I could get a better shooting performance from Darius Garland and the Isaac Okoro appearance mixed with everything else, I feel like this team could contend against y'all. Only because not for nothing, though, like they're a young team, they're a fresh team. They not really used to having like long playoff runs. If you
Mhm.
notice, like the next upcoming team is always just fresh. Like we saw with the Warriors. We'll probably see it with the Thunder this year. Like those teams that just don't contend, they just in their early to mid-20s, they just fresh. They could just run all day. Y'all battle tested. Y'all still very young in certain parts of the roster. But I feel like this team is just fresh. I think they could sustain this over the course of a season. I really think they may reach 60 wins.
Ooh,
I really do.
okay.
I really do.
Like
Because
that.
Kenny Atkinson, not for nothing, no, I feel like he has a implemented the sense of we got to do this as a team now. As far as like individual performances, I'm not saying that was the goal, but it doesn't seem apparent now. It seems like they really are playing for each other. I really feel like there's enough basketball for Garland and Mitchell and Mobley as well. I really like what he's done with the team. He has a decent track record. We saw like a
Yeah.
Brooklyn Nets team with D'Angelo Russell. We saw them be very competitive, and and he was on the Golden State Warriors coaching staff for a few years too. So he has some
Yeah.
championship pedigree. So I like what he's done with Cleveland. So moving on from that, what else have you noticed this season so far?
Well, Cleveland was definitely one of my teams. I said like they definitely they start really surprised a lot of people. Surprised me for sure. One team for me is the Knicks. I think kind of expected them to like take a little bit of time to figure out rosters rotation, this and that. But I think they look a little bit worse than what I expected. I expected a slower start, but I think Brunson has had a I don't know, he's had an okay start to the season, he's shooting around 47%, which is not bad. But I think guys like Mikal Bridges, I thought he would fit in better with his team. He doesn't really seem to be kind of meshing so far, at least to me when I'm watching them play. So I'm liking Cat. I think Cat is playing really well. I think they just got to figure out like defensively what they really want to, how they want to play him, because I think especially once you get what's the center name, once you get the center back Mitchell Robinson, you're not gonna obviously you can't play them both on the court at the same time. And so I don't know how they're gonna play it. The rotation right now is it's a very short rotation. So it's just the same question marks we had going into the season for them. So I don't know how they fix it, and I also don't see. I don't. It's hard to see what the ceiling is because they got a lot of good. Like they got their top 5, 6 players are like really quality players, but I just think come playoff time, it's like, man, I don't see that really. Can they beat the Celtics? Can they beat the Cavs or the Bucks or like any of these teams that may end up in those top seeds? Can I see the Knicks beating them? And right now, my answer is no. I think they got a good collective up top, but I'm not really seeing them being a threat as far as like winning the East. Obviously, that could change. You know, we're only a month into the season, but just our first impression, like I thought this team would be like a lot of people had them as better than the Celtics after that trade, and so far I'm thinking they just more of like a kind of like five seed Eastern Conference team, which is a little bit of a disappointment to me.
They on a 3-game winning streak right now. Karl Anthony Towns, 26-12, has been amazing. Like I think he's shooting 50% from three. OJ Anunoby having a good season. So this is the issue. Mikal Bridges is not the Mikal Bridges that he was in Phoenix. I believe that's what they need for him to be, kind of that Swiss Army knife. When he went to Brooklyn, it kind of transitioned to him being like that number 1, number 2 scorer on a very, very bad team. And I don't know if that's his mindset going into this new team, because it's like once you average a certain amount of points, you may look at yourself or perceive yourself in a different light. But now they kind of just need something specific from you. They need you to be that Swiss Army knife. They're one of the best perimeter defenders in the league, and they're not getting it. And as far as Jalen Brunson goes, so these are not my words. I was listening to the Hoop Collective with Brian Windhorst and Tim Bontemps and those guys. They were saying that scouts were saying that Jalen Brunson looks a little worn. I think a lot of the teams, they're kind of like figuring out how to defend him, kind of pick him up full court, kind of really press him. He's averaging more assists this year. He got better players around him, but they're just saying like they kind of know how to like defend him now. So that kind of is affecting his play. I mean, he's still averaging 24 points, 3 rebounds, 7 assists. I mean, that's all-star caliber numbers. But I think defenses have kind of like watched a lot of film, put a game plan together against him specifically, as when he was catching people off guard. So yeah.
Yeah, I just think, like you said, he looks a little bit worn, and then you just kind of go from last season how many minutes they played into the playoffs, where they played so many minutes, end up getting hurt, breaking the hand, and then carry that over to now, where like they still got a top heavy rotation, and they're I mean it's early in the season, but they're in close games, so you're not really getting blowout games where you're getting a rest on the bench and you're averaging 34, 35 minutes a game. Like that total is just gonna keep going higher and higher, and like banging around these other great point guards night in, night out, and you undersized, it's gonna take a toll for sure. So I just think they gotta get better production out of. I mean, Miles McBride has been cool and campaign, but like they gotta like you gotta get him some type of rest. You like that's your best player on your team, and you gotta have him like at least somewhat fresh for the playoffs. Because if he's not, then it's a wrap. You know, like it's only so much you can do, so much you can will yourself, especially against when you're looking at possibly going up against like a Drew Holiday, Derek White combination. Like that's gonna be a tough series for you, and like just expecting him to have some kind of heroic showing night in and night out is just not really feasible. So I think they gotta get him some more production at that guard position, and then just let him get some type of rest. Obviously, you might take a couple L's down the season, like you might drop a spot or two in the standings, but I just think Tom Thibodeau, we know he's known for just kind of hard nosed, high minutes playing the stars, but I think you gotta kind of switch it up and get this guy some rest. You're gonna run him into the ground. Like it's kind of like running backs in the NFL when you see they get to like a certain amount of carries and this and that. You see like a clear like decline. I think it could be the same thing when it comes to like players in the NBA. Like if you're playing too many minutes, they undersized and kind of ask them to do too much, they're just gonna kind of fall off at some point. So I don't want to see that for him because I mean he turned down a lot of money and I want him to recoup that money, but they gotta get him some help out there, whether like I said, campaign or McBride. Somebody gotta kind of up they play and let him get a little break.
Before we dip, I want to shed light on another team, Houston.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Ime Udoka. He's not microwaving the process. I just think they have a very talented roster, and it's like if I'm looking at it from his point of view, if the scandal doesn't take place, that's him hoisting the trophy, respectfully. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? So it's like I come from this situation where we are about to win the title. I lose this beautiful NBA job that I have in the Boston Celtics. I don't want to go into a situation where I'm kind of like scratching the surface of like getting first round lottery picks every season. So you get Alperen Sengun, Jalen Green, you sign Dylan Brooks, Fred VanVleet, you got Eason, you got Cam Whitmore, you draft Reed Shepard, you got Twin over there. I ain't gonna lie,
Yeah.
bro. This is a very nice roster. Like Eason and Thompson coming off the bench, like defensively, like these guys are crazy. Jalen Green not having like the best season efficiency wise for what I'm hearing, but other than that, though, like he got this team looking very competitive. I don't know what this roster gonna looks like because it's a situation where maybe too much talent. That's not always a great thing.
Mhm.
I'm looking at Jalen Green contract extension. It's looking very tradable. It's giving that type of vibes. I don't know what moves they'll make. They did sign Alperen Sengun. I don't know. I think I might be sold, bro. I ain't gonna hold you.
I mean, if y'all go back and look at the tapes, Houston was one of the teams I said that I was pretty high on. I said I'll see them having a good season. They got great coaching and just a lot of good solid players. One of the players I was high on, he's having a slower start. Cam Whitmore. I really think he's going to be a good NBA player.
I do too.
Not the greatest start. Reed Shepard as well. He hasn't been too high. I mean, he's just a rookie, so I think it'll kind of pick up. But there's a lot. They got 7 players averaging at least 11 points a game. Like you got, like I said, Jalen Green, Sengun, Fred VanVleet, who's also, I think he's been having more of an off season. He hasn't been shooting the ball the best. But yeah, just solid players. And then the good thing about that, having a lot of that talent, is that, especially young talent, is that if you did want to say make a trade and go get you like a superstar, you got some options and you got some pieces you can move around to make that happen. Obviously, we heard the KD rumor. I don't think that's gonna happen, but they could pick up and if they want to go out and get themselves a superstar. They got the means to make it happen. And I think a lot of guys will want to play for Coach Odell Udonka, and they just got a really solid team. You got a great center. You got good. I mean, just all around, just a solid team. So yeah, they was 10-7 right now. I want to say so. I
Uh,
like 10-5, 10-5 actually. So yeah, it's a good start for them. Obviously, that one season they just kind of barely missed that play in. So I think they want to get to that spot. Young players, hungry, and just great coaching. That's just, I mean, I ain't gonna say the sky's the limit for them, but I mean, I think they might be a little bit like maybe like a year ahead of schedule as far as like young players kind of performing to get into that peak and being competitive. Every night they getting it done. So Houston.
yeah, just one more quick thing. What I did notice too, it's kind of a fun thing. A lot of teams can be had on any given night. What I'm kind of starting to notice, like the Thunder, Chet went down. They always already miss Isaiah Hartenstein. So in the result, it's like I think they're on the 2-game skid, losing to the Dallas, and they lost to San Antonio, if I'm not mistaken, without Wemby last night. I think they lost. Like I said, you saw the Detroit Pistons beat Miami. It's just a lot of that going around. A lot of teams can be competitive. I know it's still early, but it's just I feel like that's good vibes early in the season. That it's a lot of competitive games going on so far. I kind of like that. I think that's
Definitely.
cool. Yeah. But yeah, we tired. I ain't gonna lie, man. We appreciate y'all. We're gonna get up out of here, man. We're gonna be back real soon. Y'all have a blessed night.